Creative Babble.
Where is Daredevil?
I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
We're gonna take this city back.
Over medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
I am not Rony Denis. My name is Billy the Dog. I say my name is Billy the Dog. I am Mr. Nothing. I say hallelujah. I say hallelujah.
Don't let that sermon fool you. When Rony Denis calls himself Billy the Dog or Mr. Nothing, it's not about humility. It's a performance. Because to his followers, Rony Denis is everything.
If I teach you guys, if I let these miracles, I can do more miracles, and I will do more in the church. You will see miracles that you've never seen before.
Former members say that Rony Denis would shout these things over the PA system. Do you know the voice that's speaking to you? It is the voice of God Almighty. I am deity. I am the savior of the world. It's hard to listen to these recordings now because, remember, this is the same guy who inspired a revolt within NTCC. People followed him to start something special, something good. But instead, all they got was a man who forced them into submission.
Tell him how that's what you did. Tell him your past. Tell him what happened. Tell him. That's what you need to tell him. All the fervor in the Testament. Okay, all the pervert, all of you.
Honestly, he sounds terrifying.
You bunch of black haters, and the white haters, and Puerto Rican haters. You bunch of pervert. I am still pulling on. I am still pulling on the name. No peace.
How can anyone believe that Rony Denis is a man of God? I wonder what he's like behind closed doors, away from the pulpit, away from the congregation. What's he like as a father, as a husband? Well, this 911 call from his wife may shed some light.
Where's your emergency? My husband is doing very violent. They call me something.
The 911 call is really hard to understand. But after that call to police in 2024, his wife, Marjorie, filed a restraining order against her husband. In her handwritten court petition, she described a terrifying incident on January 16, 2024. She tried to leave the house, but Rony Denis refused to let her go. He called in a group of his most loyal church ministers to physically hold her down. Former members told me that the struggle got so desperate that when one of the ministers grabbed Marjorie, she punched him. They say that their teenage daughter, Mariah, had to bite Rony Denis just to get him to let go of her mother. A daughter biting her father to save her mother, that's what we're dealing with here. And it wasn't out of nowhere. It was a culmination of years of abuse. You see, it turns out that Rony Denis weaponized his religious authority to dominate his own daughter too. In 2016, when Mariah was just 15 years old, she and 3 friends traveled to Florida with Rony Denis. Her friend Lynette Rosario describes one trip when she was woken up in the middle of the night.
He woke us up. I heard screaming and crying while he was walking to our room.
The girl screaming and crying was Rony Denis's daughter, Mariah. In this interview conducted by Patty Leon with the Coastal Courier, Lynette describes the night that Rony Denis beat his daughter.
He got it the worst because he had been doing her way before he had woke us up.
She said that after he was done beating Mariah, Rony Denis entered the room where the other 3 girls were staying.
And he lifted my blanket off of me, and my nightgown had risen up while I was sleeping, so I tried to hurry and put it back down, but he lifted it back up and he started beating me with the belt.
Then, according to Lynette, he turned around and beat the other girls. When he was done, he said,
"Okay, follow me."
So they got up after being dead asleep and followed Rony Denis to his bedroom bathroom.
There was a rug on the floor. He said, "I want all of you guys to lay on the rug." So we were just getting done. He said, "No, never mind. Just everyone's there and turn your backs to me." So we stood in a row and he took turns beating all of us. First from behind, and then he told us to turn around and put our arms out. Like stretch them fully out with their hands upward. And he had the belt and he was swinging our arm. He was doing that for, I would say, maybe about 10 minutes.
And why did he do this? He wanted to know if his daughter Mariah told the other girls that he had secret cameras around the house.
And we said yes, and he got angry.
So she says he beat them. That's just one of the many horror stories that I've heard about how Rony Denis treated the people closest to him. But these stories tell us something else. Nobody was stopping him. He could do whatever he wanted to whoever he wanted, and nobody could touch him. But today, we are going to reveal a scam so audacious it triggered a coordinated FBI raid at the House of Prayer. And we're going to follow the money to see how Rony Denis allegedly drained the bank accounts and the benefits of his own congregation. But every man who builds an empire on lies has a weak spot. And for Rony Denis, his weak spot were the people in his inner circle. The ones who knew where all the money was hidden. The ones who knew where all the bodies were buried, so to speak. And in today's episode, two of those people are going to make their move. I'm Javier Leiva, and this is Pretend. Stories about real people pretending to be someone else. I don't know where you live, but summer has officially started here in North Carolina. It's like 90 degrees, and I am so glad that I bought these linen shirts from Quince. I'm obsessed, guys. I'm not just reading this ad. This is one of the best buys. I never buy myself anything. And I bought a linen shirt in almost every color, and it looks cool. I'm not hot. It's comfortable, it's breathable linen, and it looks like I paid a lot of money for it. And that's why I love Quince, because everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Plus, they're good people. They work with ethical factories and they cut out the middleman. So you're paying for really quality stuff, but not the markup, right? And I just found out that Quince doesn't just sell men's clothes, they sell women's clothes. They do custom upholstered sofas, had no idea. Ceramic cookware, premium bedding. So if you haven't checked out Quince, you should. It's time to elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/pretendpod for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/pretendpod for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/pretendpod.
This message is sponsored by IQ Bar.
Hey, I'm Will. I started IQ Bar because I couldn't find a protein bar that wasn't loaded with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients, so I decided to make my own. IQ Bars are ultra-low sugar, packed with protein, fiber, and brain-boosting nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and they got 0 weird ingredients. And if you've been meaning to try them, now is a great time, because right now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you visit iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. Whether you're at your desk, on the road, or mid-workout, IQ Bar has functional, clean, and delicious options for every occasion.
Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping when you visit iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. To get 20% off plus free shipping, go to iqbar.com and enter promo code BAR20. That's iqbar.com, promo code BAR20.
That incident back in Florida where Rony Denis beat a group of girls in the middle of the night wasn't an isolated incident. According to Lynette, Rony Denis once forced the girls, including his own daughter, to live in an attic.
And he had me, Marjorie, and Sydney. We had to stay in an attic room. And we weren't allowed to have any AC on. And we had air mattresses on the floor, and we had to use the bathroom on the floor. And we weren't allowed to clean it up or anything, and it stood like that for a whole week. And we weren't allowed to open the windows.
Rony Denis allegedly kept these girls trapped in the attic for almost a whole week. Here's Gladys Jordan.
He had the 3 girls sleep in an attic room with no AC, had them defecate and urinate on the floor for the whole 6 days that they were up there. He said, "Is the window open?" Yeah. So Dennis went up there and closed the window because he wanted the smell to be in there.
And then after the week was up, he told us we had to clean it up and we had to use our bare hand. So we were picking up literally all the napkins with pee and poop with our bare hands and putting it into a trash bag.
One of the girls asked Sister Dennis, "Sister Dennis, can we please have some gloves?"
Sister Dennis, by the way, is Marjorie Denis, his wife.
She said, "Let me ask. Are you serious? You asking these girls? These girls are being abused, and all you're saying, let me ask if you could use gloves?"
And what was the reason for this punishment?
It was because we were talking to boys, and we weren't allowed to. He also said that he was doing it because he loved us, and it was elected.
You might be wondering, how does any of this happen and nobody call the police? How does a man beat children, lock them in an attic, force them to defecate on the floor for a whole week, and just walk away? Because Rony Denis didn't run a regular church. The people closest to him were too afraid to speak up. At the house of prayer, going to the cops wasn't just discouraged, that was actually a form of treason. Reaching outside the church, if you betray Rony Denis himself, that's like you're betraying God. And disloyalty was not tolerated. But somebody did go to the police. His name is Arlen Bradeen. You've heard from Arlen Bradeen throughout this series. And other than Rony Denis, Arlen Bradeen was one of the highest ranking figures at the House of Prayer. On paper, he served as CEO from 2008 to 2017. He lived in what was described as a mansion, and he drove a luxury SUV. And unlike other House of Prayer members who were barely getting by, Bradeen was doing all right. But despite all that, Arlen Bradeen says that he was just another one of Rony Denis's pawns. You were just describing living in a really, really nice house, driving a really nice car.
So we got this house. Dennis said, "You need this house. You're the face of the organization here. You need this house." We had another house that was fine. I loved it. I didn't want any more. But he said we needed this one, because we're the local pastor. And he was trying to appease me because he knew that I was fed up.
Did you own your house?
Yeah.
Like that was your house? You had the mortgage? It was under your name?
You're a good reporter, or whatever you do, you're good at it. You know what question to ask next.
It turns out that owning a house as a House of Prayer member is more of a concept. It wasn't technically Arlen Bradeen's house. The house was actually under his wife's name.
She was an awesome mother, awesome pastor's wife. She never worked a job for 30 years. And it was always a mystery to me how she got it in her name. Okay? But she had nothing to do with it. Dennis and the loans did all the paperwork. All she had to do was sign. On the original loan application, it said that she was a minister, she was a business owner, and she brought her income, her personal income was $12,000 a month.
And she didn't even work.
She didn't even have a job.
What you're saying is that it was almost like she was like a shell company to him, basically, right?
Yes, yes.
According to Bradeen, Rony Denis and his assistant secretly took out a massive new loan on the house behind Bradeen's back. The property was worth so much that the bank handed over a ton of cash, and Rony Denis walked away with nearly $400,000 of that money and slipped it right into his pocket. And Bradeen said that his wife was on the hook for almost $500,000 in debt under her name. Now picture this scheme 50 times, 75 times, even more. That's what was going on inside the House of Prayer. Here's the playbook. The church would find a loyal member, someone who trusted them completely, and they'd put a house in that person's name. And then they would use them like a straw man. Sometimes that person didn't even know that they owned the house. Other times they knew but had no idea what the church was doing behind the scenes. Once the property was in the member's name, the church could borrow against it, refinance it, drain every dollar of equity out of it. We're talking foreclosures, bankruptcies. People had given their lives to this church, walking away with absolutely nothing but debt. And Arlen Bradeen wasn't just watching this happen, he was part of it.
I was actually involved with getting a lot of the loans for the churches.
The way Bradeen describes it, Rony Denis viewed his congregation as walking, talking piggy banks. The church wasn't just taking out loans on these properties, they were also renting them out and collecting that money, double dipping. And when things went south and the loans went into foreclosure, the church kept collecting on the rent.
And while they were in foreclosure, they could do this for like 6 months, not pay the mortgage. They're still collecting from the renters.
Here's Gladys Jordan talking about her son CJ.
This is the thing. A lot of those people, Javier, they are so deep in debt. Like my son, before I left, my son was $50,000 in debt. He never had a job in his life, always worked for the church. So I'm like, how is he so much in debt?
But juggling dozens of properties and loans was hard to manage, and it was bringing unwanted attention. I have obtained a hidden audio recording of Rony Denis trying to wrangle the web of properties and loans. Check it out.
You tell me, so you can stop these foreclosures. You're going to end up afraid they'll come knocking your door. You remember you were warned about the process, right? Yes, sir.
He's warning his subordinates to be careful.
You make your decision, you don't even check with anyone. When a loan tell you stuff, before you make a decision, you should check with me. Yes, sir. Well, you're dealing with military, right? Yes, sir. He's military also. Yes, sir. Okay. Civilian, we can say what we want to say. The military, he can't do that. Okay, sir? See how stupid you are again? Yes, sir. So what do? I got stuck in this. I'm not buying any places anymore. But now I need refinance, I need this, I need that, I need this. We need to stop this. You guys going to jail, not me.
You guys going to jail, not me. The real estate scheme was just one of the rackets that Rony Denis was running. But the biggest one, the one that would eventually bring federal investigators to his door, that one had nothing to do with these houses.
8 people connected to the House of Prayer Christian Churches of America have been indicted.
Open the door. Open the door. FBI search warrant. Come out with your hands up. Come out with your hands up.
In 2004, House of Prayer opened a Bible seminary in Hinesville, Georgia. It was supposed to be a place to deepen their faith, learn the Bible, and earn an official theology degree. How wholesome, right? Wrong. According to former members, the House of Prayer Bible School turned out to be just another one of Rony Denis' schemes. And this one would ultimately bring him down. Veterans like Vanessa were drawn to the Bible Seminary because they were promised a certificate or a degree to prepare them for ministry work.
I was in that Bible college for 9.5 years, and I was promised a degree, a theology degree, and 9.5 years later, I'd never got one.
Gregory Ward enlisted in the U.S. Army. He deployed in Iraq, and today he is traumatized. But not by his time serving overseas. He's traumatized by what happened to him inside the House of Prayer. He told his story to WTOC News.
It tore me up mentally. I deployed for a year, and then I came back. That's when I was pretty much sucked in. So I'm still trying to recover from that. They closed us out from the world. Like, we didn't know anything was going on.
His trauma isn't just about being trapped in a high-control group. He says that House of Prayer destroyed a shot at a real career. Because according to Gregory Ward and other former members, Rony Denis was running a massive fraud scheme targeting military veterans and their GI Bill education benefits.
The government pays all of your school bills up to $500 a year, and living expenses of $50 a month, or $75 a month if you have dependents.
82 years ago this month, June 1944, President Franklin Roosevelt signed the GI Bill of Rights. The GI Bill promised World War II vets benefits such as helping them find a job, money for college. It's a type of reassurance for the men and women in uniform.
But wait a second. What about the beautiful blonde? Don't tell me the GI Bill of Rights guarantees every returning serviceman one of those, too.
No, that's still up to the veteran, just as it's up to him to take advantage of the GI Bill of Rights.
The GI Bill is one of the best perks about being a vet. The post-9/11 GI Bill covers 100% of in-state tuition at public colleges and up to 30% a year at private schools. Veterans can use it for almost any degree, including theology degrees and pastoral training. Yeah. But here's the catch. The VA only pays out if the school is officially accredited and approved by the state approving agency. And according to whistleblower complaints, the House of Prayer worked the system. They charged veterans on the Montgomery GI Bill $500 to $600 a month to attend their seminary. And that money came straight out of those veterans' VA benefits. And the longer the veterans stayed enrolled in the school, the more money that the church collected.
Well, we dealt with so many soldiers from the beginning. We wanted them to be able to come to the Bible school and use their GI Bill. The GI Bill pays for their college. You have to be an accredited school to qualify for the VA to pay you. And so we tried to go the legal route early on. We came in contact with different people. I even went down to Jacksonville, Florida with a couple others and met with a guy that was running a school. And he told us how to do it the legal way. Well, basically, it would cost like about $200,000 to do everything we needed to do.
So I guess they decided to do it the legal way?
But Dennis kept working at it. And he would have the people who were coming, he would have them do like college classes that would never really amount to anything just to get their GI Bill.
The House of Prayer Bible Seminary wasn't a real school. Former members say it was all a scam designed to keep them enrolled as long as possible because the longer they stayed, the more money that the church collected. The credits weren't worth anything outside of the House of Prayer. And the curriculum didn't actually teach you anything. And when a VA inspector showed up to check on the school, church leaders allegedly falsified records, lied about how many students were enrolled, and even pretended students were in class when they were really out washing cars or doing construction work for the church. And here's the worst part. It wasn't just the GI Bill. Former members say that Rony Denis was also draining their disability benefits. Former members say that the church saw injured veterans as a prime recruiting target because they have a steady source of income and free labor.
Honestly, they took all of my benefits. I have nothing to show for it, and I'm actually having like a hard time finding a job and maintaining myself financially.
He was using soldiers from the beginning. He knew how to direct them to get their disability because a lot of them were coming back from war.
Brady says Rony Denis coached these veterans on how to game the VA disability system to get the highest possible payouts.
So he knew how to direct them to get their disability. He would tell many of them, take the medication, just take it one time, for PTSD and stuff like that, and it would help them qualify. A lot of the soldiers coming got out of the Army. They had some disability from the VA, so they had a minor income. Some of them had 100%.
Did you know at the time that this was like a big fraud?
No, because there were a couple people that left the church before I did, and they were kind of working in the inner circle of Denis with the housing and different things. People told me that Denis would say, don't tell Brady this stuff. He can't handle it. So he was making people believe everything he's doing is for God and God's allowing it. But there are people that have even told the investigators that, no, Denis told us to never tell Brady this stuff.
Brady says that he had no idea what was going on at the Bible school, and he says that Rony Denis kept him in the dark, which I find that hard to believe for a man who was officially the CEO of the entire organization and the head of the school.
The day I left, I went and talked to the Hinesville police chief. I talked to the chief and one of his lieutenants for about an hour, and they stopped me and they said, listen, this is enough. I gotta get you in touch with someone else. The police chief realized that I had information that was over his head. So then the district attorney set up a meeting with me. So I contacted the FBI office in Savannah, Georgia, and I went there and had a meeting with an agent.
And Arlen Brady wasn't alone. The veterans advocacy group Veterans Education Success sent a letter to the Department of Veterans Affairs detailing an 11-page list of complaints from former members, alleging that this church was acting like a cult, defrauding the veterans of their GI Bill and their disability benefits. So you got Brady going to the FBI, you've got the Veterans Advocacy Group filing complaints with the VA, and you got former members lining up to talk. The walls started closing in on Rony Denis. But the most dangerous threat to him isn't coming from the outside. It's coming from inside his own house. You see, we started this episode with the 911 call from Marjorie Denis. So let's go back to her story for a moment, because the divorce she filed in early 2024 has been working its way through the Georgia court system. And the details that have come out of that are some of the most revealing of this entire thing. In February 2024, a process server arrived at Rony Denis's mansion to deliver him the divorce papers, and then a tall man dressed in black answered the door. He mumbled, refused to take the documents, and told the server to go away, and the server dropped the papers inside the doorway and walked back to his car. And the man marched across the yard, found the server in his vehicle, and shoved the entire stack of legal papers through the open car window. The server tossed him back to the ground and then just drove away. So legally, Rony Denis was served his divorce papers, and when he finally responded in court, he didn't just deny Marjorie's allegation of abuse and adultery. He went on the attack. He demanded that the court ordered a paternity test for their 18-year-old daughter, Mariah. He asked the judge to award him primary physical custody of his teenage daughter. And he asked the court to make Marjorie pay him for child support. As the divorce moved forward, Marjorie's legal team started asking the right questions, like, where's all this money? They issued subpoenas to dig into his bank accounts and the House of Prayer bank accounts. And that's where things get really interesting, because the church stepped in. The House of Prayer hired an outside attorney who filed a formal objection, arguing that the church's finance had nothing to do with Marjorie and Rony's marriage. They called Marjorie's investigation an outrageous invasion of the church's privacy. And they submitted a statement from a local pastor swearing that Rony Denis had no control over the church's bank accounts. Think about that for a second. The church's official position is that the man who founded the organization, the man who calls himself the deity, the man who walks around saying, I am the savior of the world, has no control over the church's money. According to House of Prayer's own attorneys, those accounts were separate from him. Yeah, all those properties were under his followers' names. How convenient. You know what else is missing from these divorce records? I'll give you one guess. Any mention of another woman. Marjorie did cite adultery as one of the grounds for divorce, but remember, according to former members, Rony Denis had already been involved with another woman in the congregation for years. Remember Julie, the wife that he allegedly stole from Adam Bowles? Yeah, he describes her as his second wife. And Rony Denis quietly moved assets to his new wife, Julie. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do want to walk you through the timeline. Here you have a man, Rony Denis, who kept his wife, Marjorie, financially dependent for 37 years. Now they're getting divorced, and suddenly he has to share half his assets with her. Marjorie files for divorce and starts asking to see the church's bank records. The church fights back, saying that Rony Denis has no control over those accounts. But then, the rumors started circulating that Marjorie Denis had died of untreated breast cancer. The timing is very strange, and no one that I've spoken to has seen or heard from Marjorie ever again. They say that she died of untreated breast cancer. The whole thing doesn't make sense. So I reached out to Marjorie's attorney just to confirm, is she alive? And I haven't heard back. But here's the weird part, is that the court docket in her divorce is still active. Why would her attorney continue to represent her in her divorce if she was already dead? How could she be dead if her divorce is still in progress? Next time on Pretend. Like we said earlier in the episode, in June of 2022, the FBI conducted coordinated raids at 5 House of Prayer locations across the country. Agents seized computers, records, cash, and then they left. No arrest. Rony Denis was still a free man. But he was scrambling, watching, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Drill of the spirit and stop the way it gets them that persecute me. And then you say right yourself.
That's next time on Pretend. Today's episode was written and produced by me, Javier Leiva. It was edited by the talented Puneeth Shenoy with the Podcast Pundits. And our theme music is by Joe Basile with thechicken.net. If you want to listen to the next episode, it's going to be available on Pretend Plus on Apple Podcasts or Patreon for those who are subscribers and supporting the show. That's one of the benefits. And it's all ad-free. So if you want to support the show and you want early ad-free episodes, go check it out. If the episode's not there, it will be there very soon. So go do that. If you are a former member or a current member listening to this and you want to message me anonymously, I want to know where Marjorie is. If you've seen her or know anything about her, send me an email at Javier, Javier, at pretendradio.org. I'd love to hear you, and if you want to go off the record, that's absolutely fine. I want to know what happened to Marjorie. All right, we have... This was supposed to be the last episode, by the way, but it just didn't fit. So we have one more episode for you, and that's the episode where I go visit one of the House of Prayer churches that got raided by the FBI. That's next time on Pretend. Talk to you next week.
Creative Babble.